He was a morbidly obese surgeon destined for an operating table and an early death. Now he's a rebel MD who is fabulously fit and fighting to make America healthy again. This is Stay Off My Operating Table with Dr. Philip Ovadia.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Stay Off My Operating Table with Dr. Philip Ovadia. We are joined today by Julia Greenblatt, about whom I know very little. Phil, why do we have Julia Greenblatt on the show?
The mystery guests, those are always the most fun as we can unpack their story and what they're about. Julia and I met at a couple of conferences, Hack Your Health, the last couple of years, and I was really impressed with what she has done and is doing. And we'll get into all of that, but it has that combination that we love here, a great personal story and a passion around whole real food and how that relates to health and nutrition, and was really excited to get her on for a conversation about all of that. With that, Julia, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and talk a little bit about your story that got you here?
Okay, so I'm Julia Greenblatt. I live in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, which is very close to Valley Forge, King of Prussia area. A lot of history here. We live in town, in the sweetest town. I don't know. You can see there's windows behind me. That's a tiny little town over there with lots of history. So I work at a family-owned Whole Food store. We've been in business over 30 years. This is my 30th year there. So I've always been aware of the difference between food in a grocery store and the food that we sell. While there's some fine line here and there, I buy all the body care. So anything you put on or in, and so I've always been aware of what I'm putting on my body is very important to me. What I'm putting in my body is very important to me. But you know what? I eat a lot of vegetables and I always felt sick. Always.
You're working at a health food store and you always felt sick.
In my digestion system, which we can get into in extreme detail if you'd like to know, is always freaking messed up. Always. And I didn't know, I thought I was doing the right thing. I just kept looking to outside reasons. Maybe I'm not doing this. Maybe I need to supplement. So I have the education about whole foods and supplements and that kind of thing, while you could really narrow it down on carnivore to 2 foods. I'm still in that industry. So I'm very aware, and I feel like our customers trust us. It's not like you have to go in and read a label, right? So that's what I've been used to. I know how to read labels. I've already done that. And I know I have met many carnivores and ketovores and keto people who are starting out, and now maybe they're 5 months into it and realizing it's what we put on our bodies and as well as what we're eating. Although I will say that I have found that my natural remedies, such as arnica, put it on bruises, calendula, into cuts, works better now that I'm not eating them. So it's like it's my medicine.
Wow.
Because the food is my medicine, but when I actually do cut myself and put calendula on it, the next day it's not there. That would have normally taken a week. So those are like things I've discovered by doing carnivore, that I'm actually able to share that with other people. If cut out the veggies for a week, this will work better for you, but live and learn. Yep. So for me, it was about, I've been overweight almost my whole life. I was born in 65. So I grew up in the 70s. And honestly, I don't even know if I had an overweight person that I was in any of my classes, because I don't know, I'd come home, mom would make the meal. We'd all sit down together, and
Yep.
It was pretty balanced, but it was clean. Very
Yeah,
clean.
we're about the same age. I've gone through my high school, looked at it. In retrospect, out of 875 students, we had 2 that I would say were overweight.
And sometimes it was like a boy who would just grow up and suddenly in 9th grade, he was okay. So it wasn't the food. I think it was just whatever, maybe movement or at the time. But yeah, that's what I grew up with. And to be honest, when I was in 10th grade, I did an exchange in Sweden where I ate a lot of carbs. and sugars. But it was so exciting. That's what comforted me, right? Like the first words I learned were, can I buy a chocolate bar? Because they have the best chocolate. And when I came home, I remember walking through customs and I saw my current boyfriend at the time and my parents look at me and they didn't even they didn't recognize me. I had already gained weight. And then that just continued the rest of my life. And that's not really why I even started Carnivore, but obviously that was a huge benefit.
Wow.
And also I had a husband who loved me no matter what. I didn't always feel like I needed to be on all the diet trends. I did them. But then I got to a point and then I went, oh, look, I could go buy a size whatever right now. 2 months later, that wasn't realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, so this brings up an issue that oftentimes gets talked about, right, in the community of is eliminating processed food enough? And it sounds like your background was you're working in this healthy food store. You were focused on eating whole, real food, and you were still having these health issues.
Yeah.
And so maybe talk about how'd you first hear about Carnivore and what did you think at first? And what was your evolution towards, okay, let me give this a try and see what happens?
Part of that is you. But I will say that my husband, Rich, he always tries to find the things that will make him feel really, he's a basketball player. He's about to turn almost 60, but he still plays like a basketball. He's pretty hardcore and athletic. And I don't know, he was looking on YouTube and I think he saw you first. And I feel like then you might've been being interviewed by Carrie Mann at that point, because Rich and I are about 3 months behind Carrie in his journey. So that he was one of the best people to follow because he interviewed, you know what he did. I don't even have to tell you, but people should follow him if you're just starting, because he really did have a lot of, and he jumped on it really quickly. So what happened is Rich did this for a few months. I was in the bedroom, by the way, in pain in bed, couldn't get out. Like that will be part of my story, but I could hear it and I could hear the interaction. And I was like, what are you listening to? He said, where have you been? I've been only eating meat for 3 weeks now. And you told me I couldn't shut up. I'm like, he was just like talking like about anything, like not rich, not in a depressed, quiet state, not focusing. So he inspired me. I was going through I had a previous injury. And at that point, honestly, it was I had hemorrhoids inside and out. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. I couldn't drive in a car. I missed 85th birthdays of our family members. I missed a funeral. It was that bad. It was that bad when I used the bathroom, number 2. It sounded like number 1. And it was blood always. I did go and get help. And I was told to eat more fiber. So I went and read all the boxes. I got the highest fiber. I was eating it. And I had to work from home because honestly, I was in so much pain, and it's the weirdest kind of pain, enough that I had to get a handicap plate for my car because I really couldn't, any movement hurt, even a massage, everything hurt. And I didn't know what to do. And I had spent thousands of dollars on creams and ointments and anything I could do. So I watched him. He felt better. Like he felt like another person in 2 weeks. And then he started losing weight. So he said, why don't you do this with me and I'll make all your meals? I said, I don't think I can take it. My digestive system, I know it's the meat. It's going to He said, you feel so crappy right now. See, I wouldn't even have said that word back then at that point. He said, how is this going to make it worse? I don't know. I didn't know. And we both, by the way, we both work together. We share an office. He buys all the perishable products, so the meat and fish and anything cold. So he knows me very well. And I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I tell you, within 5 days, I felt like a different person already. And we were pretty strict. We did lion for 3 months. Like we just really had the salt and steak. And here's what I learned. Steak doesn't come out in your poop. Veggies do. Lettuce does. Nuts do. All these things do. This didn't. So then I got scared. No, I'm not going it's cured me enough to not be bleeding like a urine, the way that sounds. I just couldn't believe it, honestly. And so what I wish I had done was started to journal at that time. I did it later, but it happened really fast. And I think it was 8 days in, I woke up and went, oh my God, my eyes were open. I'm so happy. I went to like our local places, Wawa, where you run in like a convenience store. I couldn't stop smiling at people. And I realized they were actually smiling at me and they didn't even know why, but I was so happy, like no brain fog. I could walk. And I have a toolkit that I made up for anyone who ever goes through it or even just has a hemorrhoid once. I think I've got it down pat now. And now, but it's carnivore. It's all the food. It really is.
Yeah.
Our last guest was the steak and butter gal who had quite the story of going from vegan to carnivore.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of something reversing so fast.
Yeah.
That's frankly beggars belief.
I know. That's why I said I wish I journaled it. I'm not saying it was all healed up that fast. The fact that I could stand up, go to work, walk, sit, you don't realize. So again, I saw it. I had them inside and outside. So when I say outside, I mean, it's not like a little pellet, right? These are like worse than somebody who's pregnant and has a baby and pushes that hard. There were multiple. In fact, they turn into skin tags as they finally healed, right? So those never go away unless you surgically do it. The whole thing, I have a lot of things scheduled, but this made me cancel everything because I could tell the fact that I could get in a car and I couldn't push the pedals of the car, the movement, anything that moves your muscles around I would say your tush, but also your hips. And those are a lot of muscle to move around. So the fact that I could do that quickly made me continue. And then 3 weeks later, I was 10 pounds lighter. That was amazing. This isn't why I started.
Yeah, the resolution of inflammation that occurs and how quickly it can occur is always impressive. And this is one of the more impressive examples of it that I had heard as well. That's why we wanted to make sure to share it. You said, okay, so you're working in this health focused supermarket and we've all been in those places, right? They tend to be pretty plant heavy, right? They always sell the vegetables and the fruit.
Not anymore.
So beneficial to our health, right? What did you think about this? Because it's one thing, it's always interesting to me, right? Talking with people as they go through this journey. And it's one thing to say, okay, this is crazy, but I'm desperate and I'm going to try it. And that's how a lot of people come to carnivore, quite honestly, right? But then you're like, oh, this worked, right? And now you have to be like, everything that I thought was true, maybe it's not true. And so talk a little bit about how that went over at the store, talking to your coworkers.
Right.
Yeah, maybe all these vegetables we're selling are not the best thing for health.
Yeah. First off, I'm not in the store every day. Like I'm in the headquarters now, but in my headquarters, we have an open office. I told you Rich is already there. So one of the people who works in our marketing department, she has not vegetarian. She's been vegan, like vegan. But when we talk and people saw the difference, the owner came in and said, you two are aging backwards. What the heck? A lot of people started eating more meat. Well, suddenly when we have a little birthday, it's a platter that has meat and cheese, some nuts, maybe a few grapes. It's not cupcake. Like everyone has listened and heard and seen. So it's been all 2.5 years. They have seen, they know how we've looked. They know how we feel. They know how we talk. They know how we act. Why are we so happy and cooperative all of a sudden? My assistant is now keto, and that's been over a year. Same with another person in the marketing. But what I was going to say is the marketing girl who is a vegan came out and said to me one day, I had a pepperoni this weekend. Yeah. And then she said something. What was the other thing she had? I got you. Oh, maybe it was some cheese or something. And she said, I feel okay. Now, she's not converted or changed. But the thing is, when we first started talking about it, I could feel the pushback a little bit just by, when people. Thing is, in our business, what went up 62%? Meat sales. What do you think? I'm overwhelmed with tallow products at this point, right? In the body care. I started with a local company, which I'm going to show you because it's part of my routine, but this is actually called Vellum Street. It's from Philly on Vellum Street. She upcycles all the jars. And I've had this in the store for 6 years. So it's not like new to us, but it's new to this community of carnivore. Everyone's all of a sudden DIY or they're selling their products. There's a lot of freaking tallow stuff out there. Like I said, I'm overwhelmed. I'm actually starting to cut back or find things that I just don't have it in. So that's how. And then when I'm excited about something, my teams become excited. And some of the teams are also vegan or vegetarian. And they were a little reluctant until I explained that this very bioadaptable product is the animal is already dead. What we're doing is using every part of it. Then it changed the mentality a little and opened it up to people who wouldn't have normally considered an animal product. Do we still have very heavy plant-based items in terms of body care, facial care? Absolutely. Some people can, like I said before, let me go back. I've found that the plant medicines help me more now that I'm not eating them. They make it like a medicine for me. I heal better with that as my medicine. But there are people who aren't as sensitive. I can see people who look very healthy. Their skin looks amazing. They're not overweight and they're purchasing products that are plant-based. I think that there are people who are more sensitive than others for whatever reason to be eating it. My doctor, he himself is plant-based, although his wife apparently follows me and watches and has considered doing this, which he's told us. We're still lucky because we've known this person since our children were little. And so Rich and I can go into a doctor's appointment together and spend an hour and a half together. So checking in with each other and not missing something. But he's so open-minded and he has kept track of this now for 2.5 years. We go in just once or twice. We do our blood pressure. We do our blood work. We both did our CAT scans. He's really open-minded and I feel like we might be his experiment a little bit, but that's cool. We don't get any negativity.
Definitely. You started talking about the skin care there and the use of animal products in this. That's something we haven't talked a whole lot about. We've had at least one guest that talks about it, but love to hear your perspective on why we should be using animal-based skin products as opposed to the, like you said, mostly plant-based skin products that most of us are probably accustomed to.
Yeah, absolutely. So tallow specifically is so bioidentical to our own skin. So you could use like a fingerful, nothing, and you can use it anywhere in your hair, on your eyebrows, on your face. And by the way, I used it for hemorrhoids. That's part of my protocol now on a somewhat regular basis. You can use it anywhere. It is really inexpensive compared to the facial care products in any other body. I would probably lose my job if I told customers, don't buy any of this facial care, don't buy any of this body care, don't put a lotion, your teeth, don't brush your just freaking take any tallow, not any, we want cleaner tallow, but brush your teeth with it, put it on your body, put it up your butt, put it under your arms. Like, you really don't need anything else. I don't say that because, like I said, I'm here 30 years, but I'd like to be here another, I don't know, at least 8. So I don't want it, but it is, people aren't stupid and our customers are very smart. And so I am not big out there on a little bit on TikTok, but not really because I have this full-time job and we're opening an 8th store. So this is a really stressful time. I really feel like We have very smart customers. I was super fortunate that this now has become my mission locally, right? So what do I do to help people learn about carnivore or metabolic health, if we could even get that word out there to them? I do it locally. Our license plates, Rich and I, both of our cars, both are carnivore. One has a K, one has a C. Boom. Do you think that doesn't bring up discussion, especially like someone could pull you over and be like, you're killing him. This can go a long way. We both, with I don't know if you can see, I have a lion. I got a lion on my arm.
Yep.
My nephew, I have one on my leg too. My nephew drew us lion tattoos. So we did that together because it stimulates conversation. I also took a denim jacket and I purchased and made my own patches for it. One said, you can make it. So carnivore, born in the 60s, eat meat, like the whole thing when you put it on. Actually, Dr. Ovadia, you might have seen me when I had it on, but I wear it to not just that kind of event.
Well, you talk
Okay.
about the kind of jean jackets, embroidered jean jackets that we had.
Oh,
back in
I'm
the
bringing
70s.
it back.
Oh, my.
I sent you a few pictures this morning. I think there's one of those included in it. Like I showed the license plate, but I like to stimulate the conversations. And then here's the thing you don't know. We are 3 or 4 floors up in this city, and I have a tiny little balcony, so I can see everybody. Things happen down there. They had a with Roper, with Three's Company, right? Like the Ropers, like the woman with the crazy hair, right? They do a romp through this town. There's 8,000 people. I said to them, I stood up there, I said, I'll take your picture. Oh, I said, yeah. I'm like, ready, 1, 2, 3, said, eat. And they all like, well, eat. And I videoed it. I'm like, that's the influence. They don't even know why they said it, but it stimulated some conversations. Why did you say that to them? Like, why did you have them say that? That's where I am. There's a group here of women that we do a meetup once a month in King of Prussia, which is local to all. We're all from Pennsylvania, but there's one Jersey girl. And they met at a conference in Jersey. I think it was Dr. Lisa was there, and that's how they met. How did I meet them? My first carniversary, I made big bowls of cheese and I brought it to the store. And then I took it down to our gift and garden center, I buy all the gifts as well. And I walked in, I said, guys, it's not a busy store. It's my carniversary. And this lady came up and tapped me on the shoulder. She said, did you just say it's your carniversary? And I thought, oh God, here we go. And she said, I had my 1 year 2 months ago. I went, and she said, yeah. And I have 3 girls and we meet up once a month. And then we found 3 more. So it's that. And then I had someone stop me in a parking lot because of our license plate. She said, I'm just standing here to see who comes out and sits in this truck. And then I said, oh, it's me. And she said, no, I think it's cool. And I'm thinking about doing this. And then she didn't join our group, but we're attached now and contacting each other. So for me, it's very local. If I quit my job, I could probably do this full time because I have the energy for it. And I just believe in this so much.
Phil, I'm just sitting here thinking sometimes I think I've been in this so long and so deep that I take for granted how life-changing this is for folks. Honestly, Julia, I have nothing to say other than, holy crap, this is. I love talking to people, but I've forgotten that there's just normal, everyday folks out there who are suffering.
Yeah.
And this is life-changing.
And I've learned, because I could get overpowering, I've learned to just, I make a suggestion with a license plate or a jacket. It just stimulates a conversation. It doesn't mean that person is there. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. And now, so I made up my own cards, business type cards. And I'm not promoting, because honestly, I'm so bad on TikTok. You could go back. I used to eat raw, and I still do. I'll eat raw eggs, raw meat. We live in an Amish community. We've got Rich, like I said, he's the perishable buyer. So he's he's on the farm's meeting, and so I'm okay with
He's
eating
got
raw.
connections
Yeah,
with
definitely.
really high quality stuff.
Kinda, yeah. Oh my God, you guys, I just ate. I was trying to eat before I got on here with you. I should have waited, right? Because it took me long enough to go on. But I don't know if you guys saw, or maybe Dr. Ovadia, you saw, I think at the conference, Miller Biofarms. We just got our shipment of raw cottage cheese. Raw cottage cheese. We can't even sell that. We can sell things that, say, like for cats and dogs, but not cottage cheese. No one has really. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. What? Oh, we can't. See,
Breaking
here's
news.
the thing. When we met, when we met you, we were a team and we're funny together. But this is my thing here. And we still can be funny in a team, and in
For
person.
those of you who are not watching this, Julia is talking off screen to her husband, who is yelling at her from across the room or the other side of her.
A closed bedroom door.
So this one's fun. This one will be worth looking at as well as listening to.
Definitely. Yeah.
There's some convincing. But yeah, it was great. And so I was eating that while I was waiting for you and thinking, what tastes so good to us now? We are now, like, Rich is the cook for sure. Like, I'm not even allowed in that kitchen because he comes home and he's got beef and steak and this and that. And then all of a sudden he's created something. You stir up a few carnivore things, you can cook it, you can create pretty much anything. It's depending on what bowl or pan you put it in and want to call it a crepe or, I don't know, whatever it is. Anyhow. Yeah. So back to, like, my whole story, really, the reason coming into this was this hemorrhoid situation. And I think when someone thinks of that, they think, oh, I pushed too hard and I have a little bump. And you know what? Put a little hemorrhoid cream in 3 days, it goes away. This kind of was a result of, honestly, physical therapy I fell out of our bed, a very tall bed, the day before we moved into where we are now at 1 a.m, and I didn't realize how hurt I was, jumped up back in bed, and then wound up in the emergency room the next day. I damaged my back and neck so bad, I couldn't turn my head to the left or right. So again, driving, eventually with the other pain, I couldn't see the beers. Everything. So when they did the x-rays to see about my injury, they said, you have arthritis from head to ankle and in your hands, which I didn't know. I knew it was painful, but this woke it up. And so I was trying to do rehab and do the best I could to recover from that, by the way, not eating the right food. And I pulled, and trust me, when I do something, I want to do it well. So I did it at home. I did rehab every day. I pulled, and my inner core so much. I made these hemorrhoids, and then I made them worse. And the person who's going to operate on the inside said, yeah, these are really bad, but the surgery is also going to be really painful and the healing. And luckily I never got to that point, because that's about when Rich said, why don't we try a carnivore with me? And he said, how do I not notice that? I'm like, wow, how am I noticing? I'm like, seriously, in bed. Like, I don't even know what you're doing out there at this point. Oh, Laura Spaff, he just yelled from the back. He turned me on to Laura Spaff because she was the first one that he had ever heard talk about hemorrhoids. And it even took her a while, because none of us really want to say this. Plus, I know people who know me from high school that are going to listen to me. And I'm sitting here talking about this. But hopefully they hear the other part too.
So Julia, I'm trying to think through, what was it, just simply reduction of inflammation?
Probably a lot of
happened
it.
so fast.
It happened really quickly, but also think about the mental things that happened as well. So now I am feeling better mentally. I have the same things that everyone freaking says when they're on carnivore, like the no brain hog, the depression. Oh, do you not think that I went into the deepest depression over this? I was on taking anxiety medicine. Rich would have to walk me out of our office in the middle of winter. I would stand outside because I was having panic attacks, because I could tell that I wasn't right. Something wasn't right. So the things I was eating and how I was feeling was affecting my mental health because nothing else was. I'm happily married over here. I have amazing family and wonderful job and kids. Like, why am I feeling this way? So I was on medication for blood pressure. I was on medication for depression, which I'm not on either at this point anymore. But when the panic attacks stopped, when the clarity and then the depression started to go away and that clarity, mental clarity came, I was like more patient. I was happier and I could have patience with myself to figure this out. Before, not only was that inflamed, I feel my whole brain, I feel my whole body, my whole way of thinking was inflamed. All I knew was I was in pain and I didn't know how to fix it.
Phil, explain this to me medically.
Yeah, I do think inflammation is a big part of it. Julia mentioned, right? One of the benefits of carnivore is you move your bowels less often. And if you're dealing with something like hemorrhoids, right, that's going to be a big advantage just to start with, right? We have it's, I guess I would say ironic, but it certainly probably wasn't ironic for Julia, right? That when the mainstream recommendations are to add fiber and add fiber is supposed to add bulk to the stool, right? And make it move through more. It's basically thought of a cleansing agent, right? Because it's going to make everything move through because the fiber doesn't get absorbed. If you're having pain and bleeding every time you're going to move your bowels, maybe adding fiber was not a great idea. And maybe something like carnivore that, you'll move your bowels less often. You're dealing with that inflammation. And then we still don't quite understand let's call it autoimmune, right, component, right? Because we know of a lot of people now within this community that have healed inflammatory bowel disorders generally, right, because of a carnivore diet. And again, in certain people at least, these plant products are inflammatory, irritating to the intestines. And there's a part of that, right? Hemorrhoids might be somewhere on that continuum, I guess you could say, of an inflammatory bowel disorder that, is being helped by the elimination of these plant products.
Because there wasn't a time, like I intermittent fast between 3 and 5, and I haven't really stopped doing that for the last 3 years. But the reason I actually started before carnivore doing that is because it didn't matter if I drank or I could drink water and my whole stomach could go, oh, no, like all the way. Like, I could hear it and feel it. Fiber almost killed me. If I had continued doing what I was doing, and I mean, I almost stopped eating anything except for bowls of the highest fiber cereal because I was trying to heal. I really if I could heal, I could go back to work. I could drive my car. If I'm only eating this and not anything else, what the heck is going on? I can't say, oh, I had an apple and I had this reaction. I really feel that fiber hurt me so much more. I feel like we all wish, I think, if we had done this earlier or if I had just known and had an option, but I didn't know. And I can't say that the doctors who told me to eat fiber, and I literally don't know how I drove up the street 4 blocks to the hospital, found someone who worked with hemorrhoids because I found it online. I'm like, I can do it. I go in. I felt like I was an OBGYN. I was put up in stirrups and really quickly they like tied things and twisted things and did things without telling me. So I left worse because now you've taken the inflammation and you've inflamed it even more and hurt it. And so that was about when I was done with, that's why I think I felt I got to eat just fiber because I can figure this out myself because this person could not help me and this is their specialty. Like they really hurt me. And the other thing is I couldn't talk. I was not in work. I was home because luckily Rich worked and I was sick, but it wasn't something I could tell people at that time. It was very embarrassing and so painful. And no one would understand that unless you've had that happen. Not many people have that extreme issue. Like I said, I worked There are things I didn't say back then, but I will say now. I worked my butt off doing rehab to try and heal these other things that were happening. And I just really irritated that whole area. But I'm
This
good
is,
now.
this is, ah,
Yeah, I don't wish it upon any. I would rather break a limb than ever have that kind of pain again.
yeah, I can imagine. So, Julia, talk to the listeners. There will be people who this podcast gets forwarded to.
Okay.
Oh, you got to hear this because a loved one or a friend is going to know that they're suffering from something like you've described, either brutally debilitating hemorrhoids or mental fog or years of too much weight or God knows what would you say to that listener?
First off, I would say, and I've heard people say this before, but if you do not feel, if something in your body does not, you need to know your body. When I was heavy, I didn't care about I didn't need to know my body. I just needed a black shirt to cover my body because I didn't want to see it and I didn't really want anyone else to see it. And now after doing this, I will tell you that I can lay in bed and touch any part of my body and I can feel a muscle, a bone. I can feel uncomfortableness. I would have never thought at 61 years old, I would want to touch my own self and understand how I feel. So I would say, if you're going to do this because it's a thing for weight loss, it's probably going to work if you don't look at it like a diet plan. Because anyone who's done diet plans knows it works until you stop and go back to the way you eat, right? So you got your size 6 or 4 jeans or whatever, and now 5 weeks later, they aren't going to fit. So if you're going to do I would say, one, go on YouTube, follow the doctors, follow people who have maybe similar issues, find a group. You can do this even, I'm in a couple ladies groups that we talk every day on Marco Polo. I have my own local group. Find some support and decide that if I'm going to do this, I want to look like you look. I want to feel like you look. Find some support and let's do this like a lifestyle and not like a diet. Because when you have that diet mentality in 2 months, once you're doing a great job, you're on the other hand, I think if you do it as a diet and all of a sudden you feel this mental clarity and you're so happy and excited and open, maybe that diet mode starts to go away because that's part of the mental stuff. This is part of our anxiety and our mental thinking that we need to diet and be this weight. And especially with women, I feel we compare ourselves to other people. We look at them and say, even though her butt's a little big, I would rather be like her than the way I look. And by the way, when you change that look, not that it's, like I said, my husband, he loved me when I was 200 pounds. Now I'm 125. That's crazy. You know what? It's still the same. It's not, it's amazing and it feels good and you're going to feel good. I think.
I'm just doing the math here. You're 5/8 the person that you were. So that means that
Yes.
he's given you something like, you're getting like 175% the love you used to get.
Between the two of us.
The math may actually be wrong there, but
Well, it's okay. Yeah, between the two of us now, because I've actually continued healing, which is another conversation, because I love that we can help new people finding this and give our list. Our list is almost always the same for me. No brain fog, no depression, panic attacks stop, stomach issues stop, hemorrhoids are gone, skin tags disappear, feeling happy, I'm more patient, empathetic, arthritis pain. Do I have arthritis? I absolutely do. It hasn't gotten any worse, and I can actually move my hands and not be in pain. That's crazy. So there's that. But then there's what's the healing that has continued in the last, I would even say, year. And that would be like, I can sit on the floor with my grandchildren and get up. I couldn't sit on the floor. And now when I say get up, I might need a little assistance depending on how long I've sat there. But I couldn't do that before. 4 months ago, I started going to the gym. Last gym I went to was Kerr's because it was all girls and it was 30 minutes and it went out of business. I started going to the gym every single day for almost 3 months. On the treadmill. Now, elliptical, I can only do a few. couple songs in my ears, but it doesn't matter. That is how it's healing, because now I feel the energy to do that. My brain says, and my body says, you might be out of shape, but you can do it. Look what you're doing. And funny thing is, I have a few aches and pains. Now I work on my alarms for a month. I work on something else. I never did that before. And it has nothing to do with being a gym rat or thinking I'm going to meet someone there. This had to do with the evolution of carnivore. Now I get to a point and I'm feeling like I couldn't walk, and now I can go on a treadmill for 40 minutes. What? So that's what I would say to people. I would say, if you're doing it for a diet, you got to get support, and it's not a diet. So I don't know. I might have lost myself there in that.
Julia, you're not going to be the most polished guest we've ever had. And I think that's part of the power of this conversation, is this is so very real for you. And it's glaringly obvious how real this is. And that's why I'm loving it. I'm talking to just a person on the street whose life was transformed and wants to talk about it. And that's really what this show's all about. We want to help people.
Yeah, it's one thing to have various people with expertise on and talking about the science and the medicine and all of that, but hearing the stories of the real people that have gotten amazing results from it, that has a lot of power to it. And I frankly never get tired of it. So it's really been amazing.
That's sweet. I appreciate that. Know that people like me are the ones watching people like you and reading your book, which I need the second one soon. This is what, like I said, I don't want to forget about people who are just starting out, because this is what they want to hear. And then I have a second part of that, which is the continual healing. And sometimes I think that's even just mental healing. It's having a situation where I normally react one way and realizing, oh, I don't react that way anymore. That has to be part of this. It just does. It really just does.
Wow.
Awesome.
Now, normally at this point, Julia, we say, how can folks get in contact with you if they'd like to know more? I think part of your charm is that you're not here as in
Not promoting a channel or anything. But I always say, and if you, it's not an easy thing to find, but if I'm on Facebook, it's just my personal page, and it's Julia, and my maiden name is Carlyon, Carlyon, Greenblatt. So I say, and people will friend me there or will message, and I can pretty much sort that kind of thing out now. And I am #meetjulia, MEAT, on whenever I'm on, because honestly, I'll just forward something and it goes on the page.
We'll be sure.
Hang on.
Oh,
TikTok. He said I'm on TikTok.
this is fantastic. All right, we'll make sure all that contact information shows up in the show notes. There's going to be people who try to get a hold of you who would not try to get a hold of any of our other guests, because you come across as so very approachable, and as I can talk to her. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I just want to put it out there. I'm not a carnivore coach. I have people come out of the path because they've seen what I posted, and that's fine. Carnivore's grandma is one of the people who I like to work with, and there are so many good coaches. And I can always help somebody find a coach, because I think it's not just the carnivore part, it's also the personality of a group. And yeah, so while I'm very willing to help people and stuff, that it's not my full-time job.
Sure.
Maybe someday though.
Yeah. Very good.
Awesome. Great speaking with you. And like I said, I knew your story would definitely resonate with people. So glad we could get it out there. And thank you.
And you'll contact us when you're in Pennsylvania.
Yes. Yeah. We should put a little plug there if anyone's in that area of Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So we're Phoenixville, Valley Forge, even New Jersey, like that. Anybody, we do host things and we just get together and talk about what we're doing. What do you do? What's the new thing? Are you doing a supplement now? You didn't do a supplement before. Those are the questions and why and stuff.
Great.
All right, very good. Our guest has been Julia Greenblatt. The connections that are available will be shown in the show notes. Thanks for joining us, folks. For Dr. Philip Ovadia, this has been Stay Off My Operating Table. We'll talk to you next time.
Chances are you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't need to change your life and get healthier. So take action right now. Book a call with Dr. Ovadia's team. One small step in the right direction is all it takes to get started. Contact us at ifixhearts.com/talk. That's ifixhearts.com/talk.